Hey guys, Bryan here from Liquid Concepts. So today we're going to talk a little bit about maintenance. Now I know that it's not something that we always want to do, but it is something that we need to do to make sure that, especially whenever you have a tank like this, or even just a tank that you've built or anything like that, you want to make sure that everything is up and running and everything stays going strong, because of course you may be slower in a certain time, but it's always going to pick up, and inevitably, just like everything in business, it's always probably going to go out, or something's going to happen in the most inopportune time. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the maintenance that we do for our tanks and what you guys need to look for whenever you're doing your own maintenance for your own tank. So let's get started. So of course the first thing is keeping your tank clean. Now of course we've just got our tank cleaned out and we've just filled it back up, done a couple of dips here and there, but we've still got pretty clean water and all of that. Now of course you can definitely tell I've still got some of the actual dip that's still on there, but the biggest thing is that of course as I'm sitting here and I'm putting my dividers down like this or anything like that, you want to try to make sure that you clean a lot of these surface areas that the film is touching, mainly because it helps make everything move a lot easier, especially on your reservoir divider area. If you have a lot of film on that little area right there and you don't take it off each time that you drain your tank, then moving this right here is not as effortless like this as it would be if you had a lot of film on there, because it's going to grab, it's going to hold, and it's going to make it just a lot harder in general. So of course that would be the first thing to do. And again, as far as draining your tank, it will really depend on the size of your tank. But of course, for us, whenever we're draining our tank, we're always trying to clean it off as best we can to make sure that everything looks really good and we keep as much of the debris out of the reservoir area as possible. Another thing that you want to look for is definitely the filter media. Now, we may not change our filter media every single time that we drain our tank. And also too, in saying that, it might be the opposite. We might actually change our filter media more often than we drain our tank. But the biggest thing is that whenever you get your filter media filled and it's not really filtering anymore, then of course you need to make sure that you change that out, because of course the filter media is going to be catching all of your debris, excess film, any extra tape or anything like that. So you want to make sure that whenever you are dipping, that you're not getting a lot of those contaminants going down into your pump or even landing on your heating elements or anything like that to possibly create extra problems down the road. So sometimes, like I said, if you don't change your water very often, you may be changing your filters more often than you change your water. But if you're doing a lot of dips all the time, you're more in a production setting, you may be changing your filters a lot more often than you might actually be changing your water. So it'll kind of depend, but of course you're definitely going to know it, because as it's going through and it's trying to go through the filter media, if it's not going through, then it's probably time to change it. So definitely keep an eye on your filter media to make sure that everything is still good and it's not all clogged up. Another thing to definitely keep in mind is that whenever we come in every day and we start our process, we want to make sure that we have a full reservoir area. Now, of course, you can see I've got a couple of heating elements in here. You may have one in your reservoir area, you may have one in both your reservoir and your dipping, but you definitely want to always make sure that every day you're checking your water to make sure that you have plenty of water above your heating elements, so that way they don't burn out. Whenever you're cleaning your tank as well, you also want to check your heating elements to make sure that you don't have any extra deposits of debris or anything like that on the heating element, because that can actually damage the heating element and cause it to prematurely fail. Another thing that you want to make sure of is that if you do have a spray bar like this right here, over time there is going to be a little bit of buildup from the film and everything like that that may start to actually make the hole holes smaller. So normally, again, whenever we're cleaning our tank, I'll take a drill bit that is the size of the hole, or you can also get even like a paper clip or something like that, but mainly just something that you can kind of just rod out the hole itself, and you'll actually see a very big difference in the amount of water that is coming out, because over time, like I said, it will start to build up, and then it'll start to actually push more pressure, almost like you put your thumb over a garden hose instead of just opening it up and leaving your thumb off the garden hose, so that way it has more volume to flow out, and that will also help in making sure that you possibly don't have as many bubbles whenever you turn your pump on itself. So you always want to try to make sure that you do that. We don't do that very often, but every maybe year or so, depending on your use and how much you're using the tank and the dips and all of that, you may need to just double check that and just make sure that you don't have any of these holes that are getting clogged up as well, because sometimes you can get a piece of film that might go through the pump and then it gets caught in one of these holes and it's not flowing out as much water. So definitely want to make sure that as you're doing your normal maintenance, you try to make sure that everything is cleaned out and the holes are the same size that they should have been whenever you bought the tank originally. Another thing to keep in mind that's going to be a little bit harder to try to notice, but whenever you get your tank, try to notice the amount of flow that you have coming out of your pump, because sometimes you might get a piece of tape in there, or it might even get partially clogged or something like that. So you want to try to make sure that you keep an eye on that, so that way if for whatever reason you're not quite getting the flow that you used to, that's probably something to where you might need to drain your tank or drain a specific area of the tank to pull the pump out, maybe get any excess film or even tape or anything like that that might have gotten into the pump and causing it not to actually spin the right amount, or just of course locking it up in general. So you're definitely going to know if it's locked up because it's not pumping, but you always want to try to make sure that you're doing that. So maybe every year or a couple of years, maybe even just tearing that pump apart just to be on the safe side, to make sure that everything is good and everything is all cleaned out, because again, it always happens at the most inopportune time. Something will go out like that, and if you have the time now or you have the time later to do something like that, it's always better to schedule those maintenances like that instead of having them fail prematurely, and of course it's in the worst possible time. So hopefully this video has really helped you guys out. Of course, some of these parts that you may not have on a tank that you have, or you may have every piece of this, and it's good valuable information, so that way you can kind of keep a checklist, so that way you can make a schedule and do the proper maintenance that needs to be done for your water transfer printing tank. If you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them below. We'd always love to hear from you on anything hydrographics related, as well as if I've missed a step or if you have done any other maintenance that you definitely want to let us know about. Always leave it in the comment section below. We'd always love to hear from you guys on that. If you like the video, hit the like button, as well as if you'd like to see more videos like that, hit the subscribe button. We'd always love to have you subscribe to our weekly tips on anything hydrographics related. If you're interested in getting into the hydrographics and you're looking for a good quality tank, or maybe just all the supplies, definitely check out the links in the description below. It's going to have everything there on the website that you can order directly through the website, or you can even give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help you out in getting started with your journey. I'm Bryan from Liquid Concepts, and this is how we customize your world. We'll see you guys next time.